Hi, excuse me, my voice.
Leslie Jones, attorney.
And we're waiting for Maria Esposito from Citizens Bank, and here she is.
Hey, how is everyone?
Good morning. So
Good
today's
morning.
topic is, given the craziness of the market, especially in the suburban markets, really how to win in the bidding war when there are multiple bids.
Right.
So we all have different aspects of this to speak about, and different tips to do to adhere to if you really want to succeed in a bidding war. First of all, you really should know the market and know your budget, right? Because you really need to know how much you can go above the asking price, if that's the case, and you really have to be comfortable in that situation. You just can't bid willy-nilly and then be concerned that your offer will be accepted and it's way beyond your budget. You also have to move very quickly. You have to know the market, as I said. You have to move quickly. You really have very little time to really think about your offer, and you should really have your pre-approval or your proof of funds in place.
Yes.
Correct? I mean,
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
sure.
I mean, this is such a timely conversation because I was literally on the other line with a client of mine that I've been pre-approving for like almost a year now, right? He keeps looking for a home, making offers, getting outbid, that sort of thing. And he yesterday called me. He's like, I think I found the home. I think I can get this one. Can you talk to my agent? And I just got off the phone with her. And in order, because he really wants this home, he's going a little bit above ask. He's giving a like 25-day close, right? And like a 14-day contingency. So like cutting down, like normally he would have a 30-day contingency, close between 45 and 60 days. So everything that you just mentioned, he's throwing it all, right? And the kitchen sink in there. Like, I'm going to give you more. I'm going to do it fast, because he knows that. And this particular one, because here's another thing is, you know, know the seller or find out from, from the agents involved if they have a point, like for them, they want to sell the home, obviously, and get the price they want. But they're not moving into their new place until like the end of June. So they would
Right,
love the idea to be able to rent it back,
right. So you
and
need to
stay
know, right.
home so that they don't have to move twice. And so he's offering that as well.
Exactly. So you really need to know the other side situation, as you said,
Right,
when they're moving out, and if they're willing to do a rent back or a post possession.
right,
Right. Of course, with rent backs, there's always concern. So people want to understand how much escrow is going to be required, how much time. Too long a time is not great. And then there are issues with like possible damage to a place post possession, or if
right.
something breaks and
Right.
who's responsible, and it gets a little more complicated than anyone would think. So a few days would be fine, but longer periods aren't
Advisable.
advisable
Well,
if
and
you
and
need
and
to avoid
from
it.
the lending standpoint, so it's good to hear. Like, I wasn't even thinking about that part, Leslie. What I was telling them from the lending side is, I'm like, you can rent it back, but in order for him to get the rate that he wants and for it to be a primary home, he must be able to take occupancy within 60 days. So
Right.
you
That's good
can't,
to know.
if you rent it back, if I get a contract that says that they're renting it back for 4 months or something, I'm like, hey, you're buying an investment property, right? This, even though your
Very good
intention is
point.
to move into it, by definition, for when you're getting a mortgage, you must be able to take occupancy within 60 days.
Right.
Okay, that's good to know. The other thing I think a buyer can do when you're making your offer, you obviously give your price, right? You put how much money you want to put down. Typically, it's 10%. People even ask me, I'll put more earnest money down or a greater down payment. Sometimes it helps,
Yeah,
but in most cases, it doesn't. What you could do is finance less, right? Just put more money down at closing and finance less, especially if you're bidding up the property and you could waive your appraisal, or you don't have to be concerned about an appraisal if you put a lot more money down,
right.
Right.
right? So that's very important. I'm also seeing people will inspect because they're afraid to waive an inspection, but they'll say for informational purposes only. You could always walk away from a transaction, but it makes your position look stronger if you say you're not going to renegotiate, and that's
Right.
basically what you're implying after the inspection. I think also, as a buyer, you should have an attorney. When I make an offer, I have the attorney's name, cell phone, email. I also have the date the inspection is, always done within 24 to 48 hours of getting an accepted offer. So you really have to have all the little players in place
Right.
to be able to move quickly. I think it's also important to have a very good relationship with the other broker, the other realtor who's representing the seller, right? You have to be able to negotiate. You have to feel that they're reliable players, and they need to feel that you're a reliable broker. So when you make an offer, it's a sound offer.
Right.
So I think that that's, to me, very important when I'm receiving multiple offers. It's very comfortable for me if I know all the other realtors on the
Yeah.
side.
I mean, we've touched upon that top, like, how important it is, right? To like how it's not quantifiable, right? And sometimes I think even find it hard to put into words to explain to people like how important it is to have the right team around you, right? To have the the
Right,
right attorney, the right loan officer, the right real estate agent, and how when those people know one another and have experience working together, how much it helps the transact, like anything that you're going to be doing, right? And I feel like
right,
it's kind of hard to explain that. I think people just are like, yeah, you're just saying that because you want us to work with all of you together, but it's not just us three, right? It's like in any situation where there's always going to be multiple parties, especially in New York, right?
right.
Because everybody has an attorney. um Usually there's real
Realty.
estate agents involved in the
Bank
transaction. So
attorney, yeah,
yeah, I mean,
yeah, the
the
title
more,
company.
yeah, exactly. So it just leaves, when people work with one another and know how the other players that are involved operate, it just makes for a much smoother
And
transaction,
you also, right, I think you also have more
Yeah,
confidence that the transaction, excuse me, will close. I
yes,
think the other thing you could do in a bidding situation, you could offer to pay, as a buyer, maybe you can offer to pay the seller's transfer tax. Or if it's a co-op condo, you could say, well, I'll pay for any of the co-op costs. So you could assume, it's all negotiable,
right.
you could assume some of the seller's costs if you wanted to, just to make your position stronger. In addition, and I was taught this in '05 and '04, '05, when the market was very strong too, before the last recession, that we used escalation clauses. Now, I am comfortable using it, but very often I'll always ask the other broker, is it okay to present it? There are not many agents who are comfortable, although it's perfectly legal.
I mean,
No,
Leslie, do you want to explain what that is? Because people listening may not know, like, what is an escalation clause? What does that mean?
so you want me to? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, the way it's presented is, I'll just give you the way it would be stated. My offer, on behalf of my clients, I would like to present an offer of, let's say, 750 or whatever, 750, and they will go 5,000 or 10,000 or whatever your escalation is above the highest presented offer,
Right,
up to and including. It's very important to put a cap or it has
right,
no meaning.
right.
So up to 800,000. So your client will go whatever the escalation is
Yep,
above the highest presented offer,
right.
up to including whatever the cap is. And I think I'm comfortable doing it. And I wanted to present it for a client the other
Yeah,
day. And the agent said, I'm not comfortable. I said, why? I said, it's perfectly fine. It's acceptable. She said, well, then it's not fair to the other buyers. I said, but the whole point is to get your seller, the homeowner, may get more money. And it's not our fault that they don't know how to
right.
make the offer. So it's very
Of
interesting,
course, the
right?
first thought that came through my mind was all's fair in love and war. but
Yeah.
um, but it's funny because I haven't heard that term, like you said, in a
Right.
while, right? Dates back to around 2004, 2005. And I had clients last weekend that their agent did that they presented that a very similar escalation clause, like here's our offer and we will go as high up to, as opposed to like, let's, instead of us keep going back and forth, like, right? So interesting.
I don't really see that much, you know, one, I don't see that because I'm not involved in the bidding process
Right.
typically, but I don't really see that from my end often, like when I look at, because by the time I get the
It's already
listing,
been agreed
it's a
upon.
number already, so I don't see
Right,
that.
right,
I may see that more in commercial type
right,
settings, but
right. And
not
same with me, right? I'm not going to see it either. So it's, you know, but it's
yeah. So
like
it's
Michelle's
interesting
saying, it's another potential
way of
negotiating
negotiating. Right,
tool, you
right.
know.
it also gives the buyer a certain amount of control in their negotiations. It's not like they're negotiating blindly.
Right,
So they feel comfortable giving that and presenting their offer in that light. And it also shows that they're capable
right,
going higher. It's just that they don't want to bid blindly. So I think it's fair to everybody, and I think it's a very good way of structuring an offer. And the last piece I would say, although I don't believe we're allowed to do it anymore, at least in Westchester, is submit a letter, a personal letter about the family or about the couple or the single person,
right,
saying who they are, what they do, how many kids. You know, I'll get pictures of the family. We're really not allowed to sway, for lack of a better word, the seller with video, pictures of the family, of the dog, etc.
right.
We just not allowed. Although people still
Interesting.
do it.
Right.
Right, right,
I do know that people like to see that. Heard that before, that people like want to know who's going to be in their home and,
right,
you know, or like, at least even if you don't write a letter, like just get a sense of who it is. And that definitely helps
right.
make people comfortable with an offer.
Well, is
Right.
there,
You're like,
I
we,
mean, is that illegal? I mean, is it can, if somebody wants to write a letter, can they do that?
I mean, I don't have no rule with
yeah,
regard to that, but maybe there's something in the
multiple listing.
code of ethics. I
Right,
don't, you know, real,
Yeah.
but
right,
as far as I know, I can't imagine why that would be illegal,
right,
but, you know,
I don't know if it's illegal. It's just that we were told it's not a great
right.
idea not to do it
Frowned
anymore.
upon or what have you. Right,
Yeah, from the Board of Realtors, but I still
right.
get letters all the time. I'll get pictures, videos.
it may be like an advisory opinion
Right.
type of thing,
I'm
you know,
I'm
but
I'm recalling I bought a home. I'm in my home. It'll be 4 years in October, but I'm kind of thinking that like my agent did ask me to write an email or something, like just
Right.
explaining, you know, my interest in the home or whatever. I feel like it's coming back to me. Like I feel like I did something like that.
I think what you can say legally, or what you could say is per the MLS, you could say what you like about the house.
Right,
They just don't want you to speak. I have two children. I'm here. I'm
right,
there. You know, you don't want to
right.
make it personal to anything about yourself.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah,
So I
interesting.
think, I think the other thing when you're bidding so many times and you keep losing in the bidding situation, you really have to keep positive and you have to be positive. You can't get down about it. And what I would also suggest people to expand the areas that they're looking in.
Yeah,
So rather than only look in Scarsdale, maybe include Harrison, Rye, the Riverstown,
right.
just to expand your
Right.
search a bit.
Right, right. And with anywhere you're looking, right, to be able to, you know, whether you're in Westchester, like the places you just mentioned,
Right.
or you're wherever you are, that's a great, you know, that's a great point, right? Is if you're, you know, to open, you know, open your horizons, broaden your horizons a little
right.
bit more, right?
Right, I
Yeah,
agree. And I think the good news is that the inventory is up. I just read last night that it's up 13% comparing last year to this February. And clearly I just see an increase
right.
in homes on the market, which is, it's a positive thing, positive sign for the buyer
That's
today.
an interesting statistic because I read a statistic earlier this week that mortgage applications are down 13%. So I'm wondering if there's more cash transactions because, you
I'm
know,
seeing a lot of
Oh, yeah.
right?
cash transactions.
So
that's
interesting that it's the exact same percentage, but that's good to know, right? That the
mm,
inventory is up in some
yeah.
areas.
The other thing I would tell people to do is, if they are going to make offers and speak to the attorney, get like a real sense, like really almost do a preliminary review of what to expect, sort of, not necessarily dig into a contract, but go through like all the steps and what to expect. If you're waiving the contingency, if
Yeah,
you're, what the mortgage process is, what the title process
yeah,
is. I typically would spend, 5, 10 minutes of time to bring someone through it so that they know what to expect, and then you're able to move through the
yeah,
process a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. And by the way, same thing on the financing side, right? Like there's
That's
so much
fun.
that you can do ahead of time. You can get your whole credit file complete so that we have all of the asset statements, all of the
Right,
income documents, so that if so that when you do make the offer, and if you do need to go, either non-contingent or with a very short contingency period or a fast close, like all of that stuff's been prepped. Like I've got all I'm waiting for. I have several files right now where all we're waiting for is a
right,
contract, right? If they could just get an
right,
offer accepted and go to contract, it's ready to go.
right. I think
So
the other thing people have to do is keep an updated
yeah,
pre-approval.
yes,
I don't want to see a pre-approval from 6 months ago.
no,
You want it within 2 to
yeah,
3 months. And
yes,
I think that's very important. Have your proof of funds, if it's proof of funds,
yeah,
ready. Have whatever you need to show that you qualify, have it on hand.
right,
And I also think that what we can do is rather than like wait to do an inspection and then wait for a contract, we could do it simultaneously,
yes, yeah,
assuming that the seller will have their attorney prepare a
yeah,
contract, right? Just to save
100%.
time. So I think all these things
Yeah, are
should,
helpful.
All right,
should help. And
all
we wish
right.
everybody bidding today good luck in their transaction.
Good
And we
luck.
look forward to seeing
Uh,
you next Friday.
all right, sounds great. Have a
Yeah,
wonderful weekend. All
you
right,
too.
take care.
It's
All right,
gonna be
bye-bye.
warm. Bye bye.